Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Wedge, the host of the Wedge 52 Gridiron podcast. Thank you all for listening and joining in today. Today's topic is going to be every NFC team's fifth-year option decisions and quick analysis. Before we jump into everything today, please make sure you follow, share, rate this podcast on Spotify, and check me out on Instagram at the Wedge 52 Gridiron. If you didn't get a chance to check out my analysis of every AFC team's fifth-year option decision, please check out that episode. And now let's jump into it. So those of you who are unfamiliar with what a fifth-year option is, each NFL team gets the decision to elect if they would like to use a fully guaranteed fifth-year contract to each of their first-round draft picks. They have to make this decision before the player's fourth season, which means that this year's cycle is for 2020 first-rounders. It only qualifies for first-rounders. The deadline was May 2nd at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and the amount of money in the contract is guaranteed, fully guaranteed, and predetermined by the league each season based on position, playing time, and if the player has any Pro Bowls. So let's jump into it. Leading off with the Lions, we're going to start with NFC North. The Lions have no eligible players this year. In 2020, they drafted number 3 overall pick Jeff Okudah, who was recently traded to Atlanta, and he is ineligible for a fifth-year option from the Patriots because the Lions agreed to pick up part of his contract in that trade, so he is no longer eligible. Moving on to the Vikings, Justin Jefferson has been exercised for his fifth-year option. That one comes as a no-brainer. Justin Jefferson has been an elite receiver for the past 2 or 3 seasons and has been putting up incredible numbers. So far in his career, he has 4,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 324 receptions in 3 seasons. So Justin Jefferson, this one comes as a no-brainer. Don't be surprised, Vikings fans or NFL fans, if a long-term deal or extension is reached with Justin Jefferson that keeps him in Minnesota if they determine that he is a player they want to keep on their team for a long while. And I personally do not see any reason why any NFL team wouldn't want Justin Jefferson. The Vikings also drafted Jeff Gladney, but he has been cut a long time ago because of domestic court cases and that he was found not guilty in. And then Jeff Gladney passed away in a car crash last May. So they also recently traded for Jalen Reagor, or traded Jalen Reagor away, I'm forgetting, for those of you still listening, I'm currently drawing a blank on if he was traded or just now traded to them or away from them. But his option has been declined because he was traded for a 7th-round pick and in 3 seasons has 800 yards and 4 touchdowns. My apologies, Jalen Reagor, for blanking on your situation at the moment. Moving on to the Chicago Bears. They have no eligible players and did not have a 2020 first-round option. The Green Bay Packers declined Jordan Love's fifth-year option, but they reached a deal with him that is classified as a 1-year extension worth up to $22.5 million in that 2024 season, but only $13.5 million is guaranteed. This is kind of a happy medium for both the Packers and Jordan Love as they enter a new quarterback situation. The Packers have decided and publicly announced that they want Jordan Love to be their guy, but he also hasn't played more than 3 or 4 games, I believe, where he has about 600 yards and an equal amount of touchdowns and interceptions. So I believe his fifth-year option would have been around $21 million, and that would be fully guaranteed. So it's a good medium for both the Packers and Jordan Love, getting the $13.5 million guaranteed. It's more than getting declined and Jordan Love having to deal with whatever that would entail after this season. And it also, provides a little bit less of a cap hit for the Packers and provides them some insurance in case something happens or if they decide after this 2023 season that they would not like to move on with Jordan Love long term. Moving on to the East, they have no eligible players, and Jalen Reagor was traded to the Vikings. There we go. Jalen Reagor was traded to the Vikings, like I said, for a 7th-round pick, and his option was declined by the Vikings. So moving on to the Cowboys, CD Lamb had his 5th-year option picked up. This one also, no surprise. He's been putting up very solid numbers in a wide receiver-heavy offense. He's played alongside Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. They've both had bigger seasons, and CD Lamb has still kind of been the shining star. No matter if it was Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush, or any other quarterback that the Cowboys have had in those 3 seasons. In those 3 years, CD Lamb has 3,400 yards and 20 touchdowns. Pretty good receiving numbers, and a clear-cut choice by the Cowboys. Good decision, I believe, to pick him up. Moving on to the Giants, they exercised their 5th-year option on left tackle Andrew Thomas. This one comes as a no-brainer. For me, many NFL fans might not know who he is. He's been the starting left tackle for the Giants since he came into the league. He has 44 starts, and he was 2022 second-team All-Pro. So this guy's definitely earned it. Andrew Thomas is definitely looking for a big deal in terms of lineman contracts that may be coming soon. It may potentially not come until next season because the Giants have a lot of pieces to figure out in terms of the Saquon Barkley situation that is arising. The Giants are probably going to look to bring in more weapons in terms of receivers. They just traded for Darren Waller, and they just paid Daniel Jones. So definitely important for the Giants to maintain their starting left tackle, to protect Daniel Jones, help him continue to have the success that he had last season, and to kind of build cornerstone for that offensive line for the years to come. Moving on to the Washington Commanders, Chase Young's 5th-year option has been declined. Chase Young, this is an interesting situation. I wouldn't be surprised if Chase Young is brought back to the Commanders on a deal that results in less guaranteed money or is spread out over more years rather than just the 1 year fully guaranteed. In 27 games played, Chase Young has 75 tackles and 9 sacks, which is pretty good numbers for a defensive end in 27 games. It's about a sack every 3 games, turns into about 6 or 7 sacks a season, which isn't horrible. And he hasn't been healthy. He tore his ACL and his patellar tendon in 2021, and then only played 3 games last year in 2022. So an unfortunate but correct decision by the Commanders to decline his option in terms of their logistics and cap hit and giving out guaranteed money. So now moving on to the NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have exercised Tristan Wirfs' 5th-year contract option. This one to me as well is a no-brainer. He's been the starting right tackle since he entered the league in his rookie year. He started 52 games. He's been an absolute stud at the right tackle position. I forget the exact number, but I want to say his rookie year as a starting lineman had however many snaps and 0 sacks or 1 sack allowed. Dude is a stud, and he's getting the recognition for it with this contract option, as well as from around the league. He has a Super Bowl champ ring, like I said, in his rookie year. He's been elected to 2 Pro Bowls, and he has already been an All-Pro. Look for another offensive lineman extension, big bag, new deal coming soon for him. We'd love to show some love to the offensive lineman. Shout out Tristan Wirfs. Shout out Andrew Thomas. Moving on to the Panthers. They have declined cornerback C.J. Henderson's fifth-year option. He was originally drafted by the Jaguars in 2020 and was later traded to the Panthers. He has struggled with both teams in terms of consistency, and I believe he's played in 30 games with about 15 starts only. So he's just struggled with consistency, and the Panthers elected not to give him the fifth year fully guaranteed. They did, however, exercise the fifth-year contract option for defensive tackle Derek Brown. Derek Brown's career started out a little bit slow for a defensive tackle, but he has continued to improve each year. I do not believe he has any Pro Bowls. I could be wrong. Panthers fans, don't hate me if I am. But he has improved each year, which means his fully guaranteed is most likely the minimum amount for a defensive tackle with just the playing time. Check mark. No Pro Bowls, no multiple Pro Bowls. But last year, he had his best year with 67 tackles for a defensive tackle. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints. They have declined the fifth-year option of Cesar Ruiz, offensive lineman. He struggled in his first 2 years in the NFL, but did show improvement in 2022 before injuring his foot and missing the remainder of the season in late December. So the Saints have decided to decline him because of his rocky start, and now he has to come back from an injury and see if he can maintain his 2022 levels. Good luck to Cesar Ruiz. Moving on to the Falcons. A.J. Terrell has been exercised by the Falcons for his fifth-year option. So he has been an excellent corner for that Falcons defense. One of the top in the league the past couple years. Hasn't made it to a Pro Bowl yet. Has been borderline All-Pro in one season. So look for a big extension coming for A.J. Terrell. And then, like previously mentioned, Jeff Okudah, who is now a Falcon, is ineligible for a fifth-year option because the Detroit Lions decided to help the Falcons out and pay some of his contract and take the cap hit onto their Detroit salary cap hit. So, moving on to the last division in the NFC, it's going to be the NFC West. Starting off with the San Francisco 49ers, Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle, has had his fifth year declined. This one doesn't really come as a surprise to me. He's had a lot of health struggles, staying healthy, staying on the field, and now this upcoming season, dealing with not the most production, having health struggles. Now he's going to be playing behind recently signed defensive tackle Hargraves on the 49ers, and it doesn't pay to pay your backup defensive tackles, unfortunately for them. The 49ers, however, have exercised wide receiver Brandon Ayuk's fifth-year option in 3 seasons so far. Brandon Ayuk has put up 2,600 yards and 18 touchdowns. Not bad for a number 2 receiver. As we all know, 49ers have Deebo Samuel, who is their number 1 receiver. Deebo has put up crazy numbers, receiving and rushing-ish numbers. So for Brandon Ayuk to put up 2,600 yards, 18 touchdowns in 3 seasons as a number 2 receiver is very good numbers. Congrats to him on getting the fifth-year option. Brandon Ayuk is most famous probably for his incredible hurdles that we have seen mostly in the 2021 season, although across his entire career as well. Moving on to the Seattle Seahawks. They have declined linebacker Jordan Brooks, fifth-year option. This one is tough for Mr. Brooks here. As a rookie, I believe it was his rookie season, he broke and currently holds the Seahawks single-season tackles record with 183 tackles. In his 3 years, he has 402 tackles, 2 sacks, and 15 tackles for loss. So a linebacker that, has the ability to get downfield with the 15 tackles for loss, couple sacks. I'm not sure what his blitz percentage is or how many QB hurries he has, but 402 tackles in 3 seasons. That is definitely production that you can rely on. And if you guys are unfamiliar with Jordan Brooks, you guys should be saying, why is this dude not getting his 5th-year option exercise right now? Unfortunately, Jordan Brooks tore his ACL in Week 17 of the 2022 season. This is a large part of why the Seattle Seahawks have declined his option. He most likely will miss majority, if not all, of the 2023 season. And then that would result in him coming back for the 2024 on a fully guaranteed, if accepted by the Seahawks, without playing for a year. And it's sad news for Jordan Brooks. He definitely has a nice contract coming for himself in the future. I would not be surprised if we see him sign a 1-year or 2-year prove-it deal with Seattle or with another NFL team before going on to sign a 3 or 4 year deal worth more money for him. He's proved it before he got injured. If he can prove it again for a year or two, I could see him definitely getting a contract worthy of the value and production he provides on the field. The Seahawks went out and re-signed Bobby Wagner during this offseason because of the injury here. We all know his history with Seattle and how well he's been able to play for them. Moving on to the Los Angeles Rams. They have no eligible players for a 5th-year contract option, and they did not have a 2020 first-round draft pick. Moving on to the Cardinals. This will be the last team of the NFC. Isaiah Simmons, who's technically listed as a linebacker, had his 5th-year option declined. This one kind of came as a surprise to me, as Isaiah Simmons is a stud. The dude plays everywhere. In 3 seasons, he has 258 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, and 4 interceptions. Like I said, he lines up everywhere. He plays inside linebacker, outside linebacker, cornerback, I believe. I believe he's even taken some snaps at safety or nickel corner. So the dude is a very versatile defender who's put up pretty solid numbers, kind of been a cornerstone on their defense. Maybe not a cornerstone, but at least a key piece on their defense the past few years. So this one, his option was declined. The Cardinals seem to have a lot of things going on this offseason in terms of personnel and if they are deciding to enter a rebuild year or tank or, try and actually compete, make the playoffs. I don't see them being a contender for the deep run in the playoffs if they even make it, and they probably see that too. So they have a lot of things to decide what to do with in terms of DeAndre Hopkins, who was on the trade block, but now he recently said he wants to stay. Budda Baker has also requested a trade, supposedly. But after the D-Hop news, is that real? Like, the Cardinals have kind of been one of the biggest question marks of this offseason. I would not be opposed or not be surprised if we've seen a Isaiah Simmons contract extension either before this season or during the season that locks him up kind of more long-term, but it's a little bit more flexible for the Arizona Cardinals in terms of cap hit numbers and things like that. They obviously have a lot of pieces to figure out in terms of personnel, roster, strategy, and then with all of that comes to figuring it out and making it work with the allotted cap space. So that's going to do it for every NFC team's fifth year option decision and quick analysis and stats about it. If you guys made it this far, thank you for listening. If you're interested in hearing about every AFC team's fifth year option decision and quick analysis, check out my most recent episode. And once again, please follow, rate, and share this podcast on Spotify. And if you'd like, check out the Instagram at Wedge52Gridiron. Thank you all for listening. Go Ravens.